onto their helmets or perhaps their uniform. Dr. Blake wanted to ask you, so
Mhm.
for this storage that is needed for the body worn cameras and the bandwidth and all of that that you were explaining, are we anywhere down the wicket, down the line in terms of
Yes,
that
ma'am.
build
We
out?
have completed all of that. The only reason for the explanation, and I'm glad you asked the question because I've heard persons saying things that show that my communication may have been misunderstood. I'm not saying that we need to get these things done. That is in response to criticism that we have not yet deployed body-worn camera, and it is as easy as buying some cameras and pinning on individuals. Even some so-called experts are here. So what I've been explaining is what we have been doing over the last 3 years. We have that bandwidth tech. Everything I just tell you about, is in place. There's no need, there's no requirement for storage at this point in order to accommodate body-worn cameras. I've never said that. What I've been saying is that this is what we have been doing, and I've said it many times before. When you have a budget, it doesn't make sense I buy a hubcap until I can find a car to put it on. So it doesn't make sense I buy the body-worn cameras at that huge number before I have the infrastructure to manage body-worn camera. And that's what we have been doing over the last 2 years. And
Does
we
JFJ
slowly,
know this, Commissioner?
we had a very nice meeting. I called them in to brief them on it and stuff, and they're aware. No, for sure, because one of the things that we tend to do is, and including ourselves as members of the JCF, just pick up information rather than as two entities, as organizations, come and speak clearly. We pick up a lot of the narrative that is out there and misinformation, misguided information, and stuff like that. So we thought it was important that we speak deliberately and do not assume that these things that I have been saying in a little 5 minutes interview and stuff like that is sufficient to give that understanding. And so we did that. And so they do have this understanding now. So it is not that we are saying that we don't yet have the storage where you're calling for me to say when we're going to have the storage. We do have. Are we talking about technology? I'm sure you know that technology changes. You know that demands increase, and we will forever be improving and stuff. When we had our network, our microwave network, it was the envy of the Caribbean. But yet we had to invest billions of dollars in expanding that and improving that. And so, of course, you will continue to have improvement in our infrastructure and spend in our infrastructure. So it will always be a budget item.
When you
But
say
we're not waiting on that now in order to implement body-worn cameras. Now we're buying the cameras.
right, oh, so okay, so I'm coming back to that. But you say, just to nail this down, when you said that JFJ have been told about what you just explained to us, this was of course before last Tuesday's event or
Yes.
subsequent to.
No, after, man. No. I don't think they would know that and make utterances that are misleading. I don't think they would do that.
So after the
And so,
protest, you met with them and you briefed them on where you were.
certainly. Because I realize that when I see the utterance, I do not think that it was a deliberate attempt at misleading. And so I realize that there may be some communication gap. And so it is important that we speak directly rather than picking up our information from comments out there and little snippets and stuff like that. So we had a very good meeting where that is concerned.
Where's the paperwork now with buying the cameras? Now that you have the infrastructure.
Great. So we have spent over $1 million, close to $100 million, sorry, in those that we already have. Because this is it, the fact that we're building out the infrastructure didn't mean that we were not buying cameras at the time. We just weren't going at the huge number, right? So we have 600, a little over, well, close to 700 operational cameras. We have about 750 cameras. Some are used for training purposes and for testing and stuff like that. But operational cameras, we have, I think, 670. I don't remember the exact figure. I think 674, right? And so those that are a cost of almost $100 million. We have also we started the procurement of 1,000 body-worn cameras last year. A procurement guideline can be a little bit tricky sometimes. There was a hiccup in it. If it were not for that hiccup, we would have had those cameras before before December last year. So that was the intention, and to have them deployed for the festive season. However, we are at the final stages of procurement for those cameras, for those 1,000 cameras, and we have budgeted for 4,000, which includes the 1,000 that is in procurement now. That are in procurement now, and we've budgeted 4,000 cameras over the next 3 fiscal years.
Yeah.
Just before you move on, George, in relation to the cameras, Commissioner, the National Security Minister was on last week, and he was saying that he doesn't think that the body-worn cameras are of any value to police personnel who are on planned operations. He was saying that there may be need for specially designed cameras that are fitted to helmets for those personnel who are going out on operations. What's the view of you as a CP?
Yeah, man, and he's correct. The minister didn't just come and speak. Minister is a minister, not a law enforcement practitioner. So he has done his research. All right, so this is it. So I've heard calls about planned operation where body-worn cameras were not deployed, and juxtapose that with fatal shooting, and use words like alarming, and put all of that out there for the public to know, form their perception. Unfortunately, the perception have formed is that we are pushing back on body-worn cameras because we do not want to be held accountable around fatal shootings that are concerning, most of which are concerning, and I suspect that's why the word alarming, and things. But that's not the case. That's far from the case. First of all, let me just quickly say that I don't know that any sensible person or organization will invest close to $7 billion in something that they have no interest in. I don't know that is a logical thing. And that's what we've been doing. So the idea that we're pushing back on body, I'm not saying that any of these entities have said that. I'm saying that the information and how the information is packaged and put out there, that's the perception some people have. You see it on social media, you see it all over the place, and which is unfortunate. With respect to operation and body-worn, and this is it, when persons make pronouncements, they need to be experienced. You can't just read a document. You have to be. It requires experience in the field, right? Right now, I have gotten requests from members about certain aspects of the paraphernalia that they wear in the uniform and an operation. Some things that people may not know is that even when you're going on an operation, there are certain things that you can't do, you cannot carry with you. A body-worn camera, these body-worn cameras that we have bought are for primarily used in things like traffic stop, engagement with the public in public order spaces and stuff like that. Why? The moment those cameras are activated, there are two red lights that flash on them to show that there's some indication that camera is active and it is operating. Those may not be the best thing in a planned operation. And just forgive me for not going in detail as to why on these operations. Just leave it to you and your members to understand why. So when people talk about not wearing the very same body-worn cameras in planned operations, right, it is, people have to just bear in mind that my average inspector served a minimum of 20 years in the force doing the same thing. There's a little bit about policing that we may know, right? And so that's one. The second thing is, when I have limited resource, I want the biggest bang for my buck. And so in recent times, we have seen a very troubling trend where persons fight police officers, passerbys, persons observing an arrest being conducted, and everybody believes that the police shouldn't and want to adjudicate the matter right there on the scene and fight the police and fight off and try to free the person who's been arrested. It is an extremely dangerous trend. It's a dangerous trend for the police, a dangerous trend for the citizen, and it's a dangerous trend for the rule of law. The day when you have police officers who cannot conduct arrests, then it becomes an organization or law enforcement that has absolutely no use. And so
Yes.
it's a trend that had to be arrested, right? We have taken several steps, including imploring members to give the police space, let them operate. If you believe the police is doing something that are conducting an arrest and the person should not have been arrested, on the scene at the time, in an intense situation is like that is not the place for you to seek redress. And so what we have done, we have prioritized persons that are doing traffic duties and are in public spaces like our beat officer patrol division. And let me tell you what that does. What it has done, and I personally have been on the street in downtown Kingston, speaking to vendors, speaking to shoppers and the general public. And one of the things that they say to you is that when the police is conducting an arrest in these areas and people want to intervene, the moment they see the lights flashing, they step back and give the police space. Why? Because they know that we analyze the camera later on. Mm-hmm. And if you are seen on the camera obstructing the police, then we will come and visit you at a time when it's convenient, when you don't have the crowd around you, and people know that. And once the face is captured, and we know that it's them. And so, as a result of that, we have seen a significant decline of that practice. And so that is where when I have 8,000 operational members and 600 BodyWorn cameras, that is going to be my priority.
Yeah. Let me ask you before, you finished with the point?
It is a follow-up question. I wanted to address the issue around the types of cameras for operation.
Yes,
and whether
for sure, yes.
Of course, we are going to be putting cameras, and we are looking at specing them out and procuring them. The thing is, we have to bear in mind that those specialized cameras are not the same as the cameras that we're buying now in terms of cost and capability. And they're made specifically for that. There's a thing about BodyWorn camera. It's called BodyWorn camera because it's worn on your body. And in intense operation, sometimes, and our incident, is your body that you first take out of the line of fire with the camera. And so many times the footage from the BodyWorn camera doesn't help. As a result of that has led to more advanced type cameras. With that bears in mind that reality. And so it is not about just buying some cameras and putting it on persons. When a security guard puts as a camera, as a BodyWorn camera, that security guard see a traffic, a person violating or see a person walking with a firearm, has absolutely no legal right to intervene and confront that individual. The police has. And so it is not the same. It's not the same. And these technologies are mindful of this. These are technologies built from research that we benefit from today.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you before we go, we're way past the time, but we couldn't have you here and do the usual thing. My producer is kidding behind the glass. One more question, Michelle. And this concerns, listen, there was a time, police commissioner, when, let's talk facts.
Yes.
People who were police personnel were regarded as, well, him turn police or she turn police because she's not bright.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? And I say that because I want to ask about the quality of the human resource that you are working alongside and working with. And not just in terms of the degrees and the higher degrees that people have, but say something about the caliber of the brain power that is in the JCF today and which the JCF is now attracting today in greater numbers than at any other time in its history.
Do you have, you say we're over time. Do you have another half an hour?
Let's make it as quick as possible, Commissioner.
All right, listen, I'm going to do it. Listen, it's hard to speak about brain power without looking at that which assess person's readiness or capability outside of just your work, and which is a degree. So having a degree doesn't necessarily is the only thing that determines it, but it's a good litmus test, a good benchmark. We have probably the largest number of tertiary qualified individuals in this side of the world in any organization. And I say that without fear of contradiction. We have several persons with PhD. I myself have supervised a candidate who has a year and a half ago received their PhD that and everybody that studies, everyone that studies, especially at that level, study policing, security, technology for security, not something abstract from what they do. And so all of that is coming back in the force. We have Mr. Dr. Gary Mackenzie, who have recently completed his PhD in police psychology. Right? We have persons joining the organization with bachelor's and master's degree in droves. We have persons going almost every member of the High Command, almost every member of the officer corps have at minimum a bachelor's degree and stuff. And so we have, even as Commissioner of Police, I have had requests from persons who have left the organization a few years ago. One individual that comes to memory right away, earning salary more than 4 times what he would earn as a consul when he left. And have written to me asking me permission to rejoin the organization, leave overseas and come back and rejoin the organization. And so it is not only attracting new people, but it is attracting persons who have left wanting to come back. So this argument, well, I don't know that it is an argument anymore. I don't know that's an argument anymore. I know in the past people used to say that, but I don't think we have that type of narrative anymore.
But believe us, Dr. Blake, from our end and what you view, your analytics that you watch totally different from those we watch. People do say that, and especially when investigations are not running in the way they see them run during an episode of Law and Order or CSI. Then them start talking about Dunce Police. So it was necessary to put that on the line for you to speak to it.
Yeah, man, I'm happy you did. And let me just quickly say, I know we're running out of time, that our National Police College of Jamaica that trains and prepares civilians to become police officers and also train police officers who are in service as well as leaders has last year achieved the IDLS, International Association of Directors of Law Enforcement Standards and Training, which is an accreditation. It makes us one of 34, only 34 police academy worldwide to ever achieve that. No, that is an institution that is preparing our already brilliant persons who are coming in the organization and those who are serving. And so probably, as I said often, the onus of the message is on the communicator, and probably we need to improve our communication. If we really still have people thinking like that, we really need to do better. We communicate who we are.
Hear you on that. A lot this morning from you. Very much appreciate your time this morning, Police Commissioner.
Pleasure's mine.
And we hope it doesn't take another year for you to come back.
No, certainly not.
Thank you this morning, sir.
Hopefully I will not be that busy over the next year, so I can speak with you again soon.
Very well,
but
sir.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. That's the Police Commissioner. All the best to you, Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake. He's in the rear position, Turner, of being a police commissioner who's being commended by both government and opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? I can't tell when last, if ever in my lifetime, had any police commissioner who was being praised by both government and opposition.
And has gotten significant support from the public.
From the public. His cachet quite high.
Yeah.
Break time, belatedly.